Hello, and welcome back to an episode of the Pieper Sports Podcast. Whatever teen we're on now, all I know is I'm hitting my midlife crisis. My bandana is on. I look like a hippie, a greased-up fat Axl Rose, or any surfer in California. My name is Brady Pieper. This is the Pieper Sports Podcast. We welcome a very, very special guest today by the name of
Mr. NBA.
Mr. NBA. Or Brendan. He goes by Brendan. That's another way.
Either way.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk today about an event that occurred last night. Every single year occurs the 20-whatever NBA draft lottery, in which a bunch of ping pong balls are colored with a specific logo, and they throw them into a giant ball, and you take a thing out, and that's who gets the franchise.
It's like the regular lottery, but less important.
Yeah, absolutely. And this year, to combat the rampant trust the processing or tanking, the NBA and Adam Silver, the commissioner, ended up looking towards solutions they could cause and solutions they can kind of manifest. One of them being the just kind of shifting of how the odds worked so that the number one ranked loser or the best loser didn't get the best chance at it. And in this year's draft, we ended up seeing the team the NBA get shifted around because of it, because the Knicks, being the worst team and the Cavaliers being the second worst team, did not get it. What are your thoughts on that?
Here's my thing, just in general. Seeing as how the postseason is still going on, it's hard for me to even remotely start to care about anything involving the draft. Especially since the beginning, I think it's either the beginning of the season or beginning of the postseason, all we've been hearing is about Zion. That's all we've been hearing. It's gotten to the point where, I can't say I can. Is it worse or better than the whole Lonzo the previous year? Kind of, but not really, because with Lonzo, it was more about his dad.
Yeah, it was more about the family.
It was more about the family, mostly the dad. This is just everybody. We haven't even seen the dude play 5 to 10 games yet, let alone one, and people are already dubbing him this great, iconic, and they're saying he's the next this, the next that, which I hate more than anything, honestly.
It makes sense to me. I watched Zion a little bit. You saw his dunk highlights. You get to see all those really, really exciting highlights he had, which makes good players, but Ja Morant had a lot of good highlights too. Right. I think what really separates Zion from the rest of the pack, what really makes him that, next generational talent, is the fact that he is so big. What is 270-ish?
Right.
The fact that he is LeBron-esque in that size kind of, spectrum, that he kind of makes this huge little leap in that potential. And when you see a prospect as touted and as looked forward to as Zion, it really does remind you of LeBron, and everybody looks for the next LeBron.
I think, I'm not denying he's going to be really good. I'm just saying, more or less from what I've seen, he's kind of still under the umbrella of what you would call a one-trick pony. Whereas I'm sure a lot of the other players in that draft, they at least have a various skill set.
I can definitely somewhat agree to that, because he's not much of a shooter.
He's not much of a shooter. The dunk highlights, I take nothing away from them, but honestly, when I see that, it's kind of a reminder of this guy named Ben Simmons.
Yes, but a shot is something you can develop. You can work on a shot. I mean, if you're Markelle Fultz and you have that physical body issue, you can't. If you're Ben Simmons and have a mentality issue, you can't.
Right.
I mean, LeBron wasn't the best shooter coming out of college, or not out of college, out of high school.
Right.
He wasn't the best shooter. I think it comes down to being a master at one thing, athleticism and, in the paint scoring. At his size, I mean, the ability to master one thing while being a good defender and being able to learn the other things and have the mentality is kind of what makes him that real good prospect for me.
Absolutely.
But aside from Zion,
I actually heard too that I heard that this morning watching First Take. Shout out to Stephen A. He actually wanted kind of strongly to go. He wanted to get picked up by New York and go to the Knicks.
Zion did?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw the report that he does not want to go to NOLA.
He doesn't.
You
can you blame him?
No. I think he'd be a better Saints player than a Pelicans player.
I can definitely see that. But do you really? Here's the difference in the strong message you send to opponents. Here's the difference. On one hand, you can either be that person that says, I play to defend the Smoothie King Center, or I play to defend Madison Square Garden. Which one sounds kind of more fun to watch?
Smoothies.
I disagree.
Well, we're going to kind of shift a tiny bit towards talking about the actual results of the NBA lottery and the results of who got the number one pick. We've discussed this quite frequently, but the New Orleans Pelicans get the number one overall pick. They had a smaller chance than just about a lot of teams, and they got the pick. And I mean, good for them. I think it's good for Adam Silver and the commissioner to make a rule to change it, and then allow for the opportunity to not, if you tank, it's not the smartest idea on the planet anymore.
No, and you just ask Mark Cuban. But I honestly think that another question you got to ask yourself is, going forward, what is this going to mean with the whole AD situation?
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, here's the thing. You have a generational talent.
Absolutely.
In Anthony Davis.
Absolutely.
He doesn't want to play for you, which is good. And it's horrible to say that. It's good that you don't have Anthony Davis wanting to play for you, because you can get your entire team set. They turned down, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and a first-round pick.
Yes.
If you accepted that trade and ended up getting Zion, then your entire team is set for the next 8 years.
At least.
Yeah, I mean, with the haul teams are going to toss over to the Pelicans for either the first overall pick or AD, because both of those are arguably the most sought after,
bargaining chips.
Bargaining chips, yeah. They're definitely the most sought after bargaining chips in the league right now. And there aren't many other players that you would trade more for. So the question is, if you're the Pelicans, you draft Zion, what can you get for Anthony Davis? What pieces do you need to put around Zion if you do trade Anthony Davis? What is the overall goal for the Pelicans?
First thing that comes to mind, just like with the Lakers, shooters, obviously. Because you think about it, good, solid players on that Pelican team, not too many shooters.
Yes, I mean, the question is, who can you get for him? What teams would really be in that,
the Anthony Davis sweepstakes?
The Anthony Davis sweepstakes. And, I look in this lottery, and I see a few different interesting teams you could say Anthony Davis can go to. obviously, the Lakers. The Lakers are a big team that was trying to trade for him last season. They have the number 4 overall pick. If you're the Lakers, can you trade that pick, bundle it with Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma? I mean, Lonzo still can't shoot, but I mean,
True.
Bundling Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, that number 4 pick, you can get a real good shooter at number 4, whether it be Barrett if he falls that far, Reddish, was it Cam something?
Right.
It was a point guard. I played for a small conference, I think. I don't know. But there's some really good shooters in this class, and if you get that number 4 pick and the number 1 pick, there's some real options you have if you're the Pelicans.
True, and I think Anthony Davis with LeBron in LA would definitely be a good starting point. And if you can somehow manage to pick up, say, like Kemba Walker, or I've been told, again, credit to First Take, I've been told that, according to Stephen A., Kyrie's closest group, probably his family, says there's no way in hell that he is going to reunite with LeBron in LA.
Well, I mean, you're completely right. I mean, Kyrie Irving is not going to LA. You can, staring directly into the camera, Kyrie Irving is not going to the Lakers. I'm sorry to all the Lakers bandwagon fans out there. No. You're too spoiled anyway. He's not going there. He's going to New York or Boston. Those are 2 most likely chances for him. You know, my biggest piece with him going to the Lakers, LeBron has really never fully succeeded with another big man on the team versus shooters. So a team with LeBron and shooters, hence Kyrie and LeBron, was really, really effective. Teams that were LeBron and Kevin Love without Kyrie, that team didn't do as effectively. Of course, they were okay, but you know they didn't play as well as they could have if they had shooters. We're gonna move to the number 2 pick and kind of scan down the rest of the list. We have 2, the Memphis Grizzlies. We have 3, the New York Nicklases. Number 4, as discussed before, the Lakers. Sorry, I rhymed there. The land, Cleveland, Ohio, gets 5. Number 6, the Phoenix Suns. Number 7, Chicago Bulls. 8, Atlanta Hawks. 9, Washington. 10, Atlanta from Dallas. So Atlanta got this pick from the Dallas trade last year, in which I think Dallas got Luka Doncic and they traded or swapped or did something. I don't remember. But Atlanta has Dallas's number 10 pick. Minnesota.
I think that's probably part of the deal that brought Porzingis.
Was that a part of the Porzingis deal?
I think that's what that is. That's part of the Porzingis trade.
Porzingis came from the Knicks. Oh, was that? Oh, it must have been a weird pick. I don't know. Some odd thing that they have the pick.
I don't remember because I think it maybe was a 3-way trade, maybe, but that sounds like what that was.
I don't do my journalistic due diligence. I apologize. Number 11, Minnesota, the Timberwolves and Cat. Number 12, Charlotte. Number 13, Miami. And number 14, Boston from Sacramento via Philadelphia. Welcome to the confusing trades that occur.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, any teams on there, I believe, kind of my first little look at the list and like to its entirety. The Knicks getting number 3. It's great for the league, sucks for the Knicks. Cleveland getting 5. They're going to kind of miss out on the sweepstakes of those 4 real good players. Any other ones on there? Atlanta has 2 picks in the top 10. That's potential trade-up value, but I don't believe that they will. Boston with number 14. Boston should have a few picks in this draft that are relatively high up. It's interesting. What opinions on kind of those surprise teams?
First off, I gotta say that I feel for Stephen A. because I know how much he was looking forward to Zion possibly becoming a Knick. But if they, one thing's for sure, as soon, either before or on the week of draft, the official draft day, I have this sneaking suspicion a trade will be made.
With whom?
Possibly Zion.
My biggest take with Zion, he's obviously going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Absolutely.
You don't draft somebody at that high of a position that isn't there. And if you do want the other person, you trade down because that pick is so valuable. But I think if you're in New Orleans, you have such a franchise-changing position right there that you can't do anything with him. He is yours. He is set to play in New Orleans, except for a report that I heard earlier today that I think it was Colin Cowherd said that if you are Zion, you don't want to play in New Orleans. You're a generational talent. What generational talents have succeeded, like long-term in New Orleans? Not many.
Not many.
If you get drafted by New Orleans, say no. I'm not going to play. Trade me.
I heard that.
That would be an interesting little tidbit just because Anthony Davis was the number 1 overall pick. So when Zion is the number 1 overall pick, do you think both of them request trades and go elsewhere? And if so, how much can you get collectively for Zion and Anthony Davis?
You would have to, for them as a package, you would have to pretty much damn near give the house away.
Here, sir, would you like my franchise?
Yeah, you would have to for both of them together as a package, you have to damn near give the house away, and you would officially be in rebuilding for a while.
I physically don't think there is a trade on the planet that can get you both those players in one go.
Not
physically, there are not 2 players of that high of potential and talent that you can reach overall. I just don't think it's even feasible. No amount of picks can really give you that. Maybe if somebody goes, all right, we'll give you 5 years of first-round picks. Here's Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Trevor Ariza. Here's everyone.
Not to mention, for the record, I think it's not beyond the realm of possibility to say that Anthony Davis' potential has kind of been, what's the word I'm looking for? Wasted, stifled. During his tenure in New Orleans, I give him major props for even being there this long, because I'm pretty sure he had a chance to opt out at one point, but they decided to keep him on longer. And then Zion going to New Orleans, I think he kind of can look at and talk to Anthony Davis like, this is what I went through because I was in the same position you're in now. So, and that might, who knows how that might affect Zion going forward before the night of the draft.
Yeah, this draft has so much potential to be just a huge game changer for a lot of teams. Teams you're getting trades, one of the teams, and I'll kind of give you 2 teams that I think have the potential to either move up higher in the draft or kind of trade for somebody.
For the record, your Boston Celtics are number 20.
My Boston Celtics have 3 picks. And they are the first of my 2 trade teams. If you're the Boston Celtics, you're obviously looking to re-sign Kyrie. You're obviously looking to re-sign some players, regardless of what I think about Kyrie. That
reminds me on the same episode of First Take when they were talking about Zion. They also had Terry Rozier, and he kind of talked about it, pretty much saying we were kind of better off without Kyrie. And then when Kyrie came, it pretty much became his show, and the rest of us were just pretty much there.
Well, that's kind of the thing. When it was, I like the idea between the San Antonio Spurs a couple years back. They kind of had so many role players that played their role so efficiently and so well, and were so well coached that it's just, you can't really stop it. You can just hope to slow it down enough to beat them.
Easier
that
said
the
than done.
Boston Celtics can really be the San Antonio Spurs of 7 years ago. I think this draft for them, considering that they have the 14, the 20, and the 22 pick, can really make a huge difference if you go out and trade them or look for something different, or even if you draft players but you don't want to develop them. I mean, your franchise window to win, right, is now. You have the ability, you have the players, you have the team to do it. If you can make a big trade out there, if you can go get yourself an Anthony Davis, which I think is a possibility, the Boston Celtics are one of the two teams that I think can really, really shift their own momentum and definitely go for the higher.
Well, another thing that was noted by Terry Rozier, just stating this, he said that if Kyrie does decide to stay, or if the Celtics find a way to keep him, Terry Rozier won't be returning, and he will take advantage of being a free agent, because I think he's also a free agent too around the same time.
Both of the Boston point guards, the two major point guards on the team, are free agents going into this year. My reasoning behind it, and we talked about this on I think it was your podcast. We talked about it.
Right.
You re-sign Rozier, there's a real good chance that he's your starter, because there aren't many other players out there. But he's starter level. I mean, he has the skills and the talent level and the smarts to really be a starter in the league. So why would he settle to be on the bench?
He has a solid basketball IQ. I will give him that. And I think, because I think if Kyrie does leave, I think it's safe to say that this would be somewhat Terry Rozier and possibly Jaylen Brown's team.
Oh yeah. I mean, the big part is, Jason Tatum. Al Horford is that role player.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown he has a very, very high ceiling because he's a great defensive player. Mm-hmm. He's smart. He can run the floor. He's a great shooter. Yep. Especially from the corner if you see that kid play. Yep. And he's athletic. Absolutely. He has the potential. I think he has a potential higher than Jason Tatum. Regardless of what people think about Jason Tatum, there's so many haters. There's so many people that stan over him, but I'm just not a part of that group, to be honest. But I love Jaylen Brown just because I think he's so driven to work harder and he has the motivation to do really, really well. But I will say, my other team that can really, really change this offseason, the Brooklyn Nets.
Ooh, yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets have D'Angelo Russell signed for one more year. Technically, they have the chance, if they would like to renounce D'Angelo Russell, they can. They have 3 picks in the top 31, so they have 17. They have 27 and 31. So they have essentially 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
They are up there on the list of teams signing or that have the chance to sign Kyrie and KD.
True.
You can't keep D'Angelo Russell if you do that, but you have Kyrie, KD, opportunity to move up in the draft or draft players at that spot. This team could be pretty scary. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them sign Kyrie and then the Nets trade those picks and a few other players, or D'Angelo Russell to NOLA. Get Anthony Davis. I mean, this team.
I agree, and I will say without a doubt, D'Angelo Russell, I think this time he spent in Brooklyn has been definitely well served, because I think he's definitely grown up a hell of a lot versus when he first got there from LA. But I think if you're Brooklyn, personally, I would try to hang on to him, because I think just that group, you have just like almost with kind of same thing with Boston, you have all these really, really good players, really good pieces, and then you have D'Angelo Russell, who's grown up significantly, and he only has nowhere but up to go, so he can only get better. So I can definitely see them trying to hang on to him. However, if they do if they can't keep him, I think any team that gets him, minus the Lakers, any team that gets him, minus the Lakers, would definitely get another solid one piece.
You know, I think there's so much talent with D'Angelo. I really do.
Absolutely.
I think after getting traded from the Lakers to the Nets, he kind of had this come up moment. He was just like, you know, if I want to succeed, it's up to me now.
Right.
Like there's nobody here. I'm post Billy King era Nets. This is who I am. This is my franchise now, and you're building around me. If you're the Nets and you get another year where it's like less than $10 million of D'Angelo Russell and then re-sign him, do it. I mean, last year, here's some...
They did a good job. No, and plus, not to mention, one of his biggest credits as of lately, he took you pretty far in the playoffs. He did a really good job in the playoffs. So you got to give him that credit. And I think now having that playoff experience, they can definitely only get better from here.
Now, here's kind of a little bit of a question, hot take that I want to hear from you.
Oh, Lord.
in like career evaluations, after both these players are out of the league, who will be seen as a better leader? Kyrie Irving or D'Angelo Russell?
D'Angelo Russell.
Why?
Because I can kind of see kind of a domino effect happening with Kyrie, and not in a good way. Because, again, it's one of those things where you got pretty much exactly what you wanted going to Boston. You got your own team. You had a chance to be a leader. You weren't in anybody's shadow anymore. You were the leader, and honestly, two things are now going to count against them, as far as I know. Two things. One, I think they made it to the conference finals the previous year without you and without Hayward, but that's another story. Two, I think this playoffs, it just kind of cemented that you want to have your own team, but I don't see much proof that he wants to make the players around him better, if it means sacrificing on his part.
You know, my big concern with Kyrie is ever making sure that he matures to that level of leadership and to become a true number one on and off the court. Now, with Boston having so many picks in this first round, with them having the ability to go and trade for Anthony Davis if they want to, re-sign Kyrie, whatever they decide to do, Boston has options. This team could look completely different in a year, with the exception of Hayward and Horford. This team could be shifted with everything. But I love seeing that this team has good options and not bad ones.
I agree, and I just think that this was Kyrie's moment in these playoffs. This was his moment to show that this is what would have happened if I was able to go the previous playoffs. And I just think they more or less kind of screwed up, which is because I got to be honest, I was kind of expecting a little more during that round against, I think it was Milwaukee. I was kind of expecting a little more. I was kind of disappointed because you were literally handed your own team. They were more or less handing you the keys.
Here is this franchise. Go ahead, run with it. This is your team. We're talented. We could shoot and do whatever. Go. Go off. Do it.
They literally handed you the keys to the team, and a historic franchise at that, one of the historic franchise in basketball history, sports history, let alone. And this is how you act. I don't think it just. These playoffs showed me that he's not ready to lead. Honestly, is my opinion. He's not ready to lead because when they criticized him for taking too many shots in the game that they got eliminated,
he said, "I'm going to shoot more.
I'm going to shoot more." That's a bonehead answer, number one.
Well, I'm gonna do what's best for the team. My job is to do what's best for the team. That's the leadership answer. That's the not kid answer. You're not a kid anymore.
You're not a kid.
You have a full ass beard. You have a full ass beard. If you have a full ass beard, you know what you do? You say stuff like, "Well, I'm here for the team, and I'm here to give these younger players a chance and give them a good opportunity. You know, I'm talking to Danny and making sure that we're doing what's best for the team and making sure we're doing a good job."
Here's the part that also blows my mind. When players like him, Kyrie Irving, say that, come that next game after they give that answer, you do know we can see you, right? We do. You
can't hide. You can't hide.
You can't hide. Your game, because of you and many other reasons, your games are nationally televised, and they're most likely going to be in prime time. So you know we can see you, right? And you know there's a thing called instant replay and YouTube. Shout out. From that standpoint, I kind of understand Terry's frustration, because I think it's like we made it this far without you. You come back, then the rest of us go back to being stagnant and pretty much just deferring to you, and look where it got us.
You know, it's right. I mean, the future of the Boston Celtics is so unclear. They have good options. It just depends on what they decide to do. If they can really, Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge can really make this happen, because they can. They really can. I'm going to shift to our last topic for the episode, because we are running at like 32 minutes. It's going to be a bitch to edit.
We've ran longer, to be fair.
We have, but you don't have to. But you don't have to edit it. All right.
Fact.
There are two guys that aren't going number one. If Nola is an idiot, they pick one of these guys. But we have Ja Morant and RJ Barrett, who, in one sentence or less explanation, is better.
Ooh, that's really tough. I kind of want to go with. That's hard. Can't really give you much of an explanation because I didn't really watch them until the whole draft thing happened. I gotta go with Barrett. I gotta go with Barrett. I just think, one, let's be honest. I think they're coming into this draft with more skill relatively than Zion. I got to be honest with that. Zion's coming in basically as a power guy. They're more, because their position, they're more speed and ball and passing guys. I'm thankful that we haven't heard any Steph Curry comparisons like we did with Lonzo. That was annoying. And then Steph gave it to him, which is good. But I gotta go with Barrett.
And I'm not doing this just to play devil's advocate. I'm not doing this just to piss you off. Ja Morant is better, and he will be better for 6 years.
Okay.
I think RJ Barrett can last longer in the NBA, but that's just because I see the point god, self-proclaimed point god, which I found kind of amusing.
I did too.
Ja Morant, he's a 6'3" point god.
It's amusing.
I'm a point god.
It's amusing. It's amusing.
I see him really closely in tuned with Russell Westbrook. He was the nation's assist leader, which, for a point guard isn't exactly the most shocking thing. I mean, but my big thing with him, if you've ever seen him dunk, if you've ever seen those highlight plays that Ja Morant has made, he's athletic, he's freaky fast, he's freaky skilled, great ball handler, he struggles with shooting, hence Westbrook. But this guy has the potential to be a multi-MVP.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, I mean, with the ability, with how much I think triple doubles are becoming very, very mainstream and streamlined. Streamlined. Yeah. I think he really, really does have the potential to be an MVP, be that Russell Westbrook character. Now, he is projected to go to the Grizzlies at number 2. The Grizzlies can easily pick Ja Morant, or they can pick RJ Barrett if they do decide on either of those. But I think Ja Morant goes to the Grizzlies because Mike Conley is getting older. If Mike Conley's getting older, here's your long-term solution. Here's a gift from Adam Silver.
He is definitely getting older. By the way, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Mike Conley, he will not retire in Memphis.
Where is he going?
I have no clue, but I will say I don't see him finishing in Memphis. I see the next chance he gets to either be a free agent, well, actually a free agent because I don't see him being traded. He does not stay in Memphis. He goes somewhere else.
Well, that's the hot take from Mr. NBA. Now give yourself a little bit of a plug for your show, where you can get it. Just give me a little quick plug. I'll give it to you.
Well, here's my quick plug, and God bless you. Here's my quick plug. Honestly, don't forget to listen to both shows, Baller Talk with Brady, which I co-host with the main host of this show.
That's me, Dr. Boston.
And also don't forget to listen to In Between the Lines, which we have with occasionally Dr. Boston as kind of our stand-in guest.
That's me, Dr. Boston.
But our main guest is obviously going to be Mr. NBA, and our friend Tristan, who we call Mrs. MLB.
Because she likes the MLB. Where can you find this information, sir?
You can either find it on, we got YouTube. We have mymetmedia.com, which, by the way, coming very soon. It's going to have a new, simpler layout. Looks very nice.
And you can find us just about anywhere if you look hard enough. This has been an episode of the Pieper Sports Podcast with my wonderful friend, guest, and overall Met Media contributor. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Like, comment, subscribe, give me feedback on the episodes because I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, ladies, gentlemen, I hope you pass finals.